90% of people who start flipping cars end up quitting within the first few flips. And it's not because they're dumb or they bought a bad car, it's because they're making the same mistakes that everyone else makes when they start. And I get it. When I first started flipping cars 6 years ago, I thought I knew what I was doing. I'd buy a car, fix it up, list it for sale, and then nothing. It'd sit there for weeks, and when it finally sold, I realized I'd barely made anything after all the time and money I put into it. It took me losing tens of thousands of dollars and wasting years of my life to figure out what I was doing wrong. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 7 real reasons most new flippers fail and exactly how to avoid each one so you actually can start making money. Let's get into it. The first and biggest reason you're not making a profit is because you're buying the wrong cars. When most people start flipping, they buy whatever seems cheap. They see a car listed for way under what they think it's worth, and they get excited. They message the seller, go look at it, and buy it without really thinking. Then when they get home, they realize why it was so cheap. The AC doesn't blow cold, there's a weird vibration when you're driving it fast, and the check engine light comes on a week later. It's a lot of small things that add up fast, and now they're stuck with a car that's going to cost way more to fix than they thought. When I first started, I'd buy cars that seemed cheap to me without really inspecting them. I thought, hey, it looks good, it's way less than the other ones for sale, and it seems to drive fine. But within a week, of course, I'd find all sorts of issues. Then I'd spend weeks to fix it up when I thought I would have been able to do it in like a quarter of the time. I'd still make money on them, but it wasn't enough to make it worth my time. The real issue was I was looking at the price of the deal and my profit rather than looking at the hourly rate I'd be making. Here's what you need to understand. A cheap car is not automatically a good car. A good deal is when you can buy it, fix it quickly, and sell it for a lot more than you put into it. That means you need to be looking for cars with cosmetic issues, not mechanical ones. Things like scratched paint, faded headlights, dirty interiors, or small scratches. These things are cheap and easy to fix, but make the car look a lot better after they're fixed. Yeah, you can do mechanical stuff too, but make sure you know what the problem is before buying the car. And be sure you'll be able to fix it as well. Another thing that screws people up is they don't know the car's history or like how it was taken care of. So you can get a Carfax report and it'll tell you all the history about it and whether it's been beaten up or cared for if you know how to read it right. So if you want a free Carfax report, I linked it in the description. When you're selling the car, it all comes down to what the buyer of the car is seeing. If they see a car that's all dirty and scratched up, they assume it's been neglected and kind of just scroll right past it. But if it's been detailed and has no problems, suddenly it looks like a completely different car and is going to attract a lot more buyers. You also need to stick to cars under $5,000 when you're starting out, because more expensive ones are going to make the same profit while you're risking a lot of money and it costs more to fix and takes longer to sell. The sweet spot I found is around $2,000 to $5,000. They sell fast because a ton of people are buying in that range, and you can make like $2,000 profit on each one without putting much time or money into the cars. So stop going for cheap prices and start chasing easy profit. The second reason you're not making profit is you're taking way too long to flip each car. Let me break down some simple math for you. If you can make $2,000 of profit a week flipping cars, which is honestly easy if you know what you're doing, that means every single day is worth about $285. So when you spend 3 extra days searching for the perfect deal, that's like $850 gone. When you wait 2 days for a part to ship instead of just driving down to the auto parts store, that's over $500 in lost time. When your car sits for sale for an extra week because you priced it too high, that's $2,000 you missed out on. Most new flippers don't think about it this way. They think, well, I'm not spending money, so it doesn't really matter. But time is money in this business, literally. When I started, a single flip would take me like 5 weeks. I'd spend a week looking for the right car, another 2 weeks fixing it up, and then it would just sit there for sale for 2 weeks. I thought that's just how flips went, when really I was just being slow. Now, all my flips are done in less than a week. So here's how you can speed some things up. First, stop looking for the perfect deal. Good deals show up every single day. So if you're spending more than 2 to 3 days searching, you're being too picky or you aren't looking at the right cars. Find a car that makes sense, flip it, and move on to the next one. Second, get parts locally instead of ordering online. Yes, Amazon might be $20 cheaper, but if it takes like 2 days to arrive, you just lost way more than $20 in time. Or you can also go to the junkyard and get what you need. Third, list the car for sale before you're done fixing it up. This way, when someone reaches out to you a day after you posted it, you would have been working on the car for that day it was listed, and then you can sell it right away, right when it's done. Instead of having to finish it, then post it, then wait a day, and then it gets sold. Essentially just cutting out all the time of waiting for it to sell. Fourth, price your car to sell within a few days to a week. I don't care what you think it's worth, if it's not getting messages, it's priced too high. Drop the price by a few $100s and move on. Because a fast $1,500 profit is better than a slow $2,000 profit every single time. Your goal should be flipping one car per week. And if you're taking longer than that on most of your flips, you're gonna need to figure out where you're wasting time and fix it. The third reason you're not making profit is you're putting too much money and effort into repairs that don't actually increase the car's value. This one's tricky because it feels like you're doing the right thing. You buy a car and you want it to be perfect before you sell it. So you replace parts that are still working, you repaint panels that have small chips, you do some preventative maintenance that the next owner isn't even gonna care about. And then when you're selling it, you tell the buyer all this stuff you did to it, and they say they appreciate it, but they aren't gonna be willing to pay more money for the car. They just want a decent car that runs good. I had this problem when I started. If something wasn't perfect, it really bothered me. So I'd spend hundreds of dollars and dozens of hours trying to make the car look brand new. And when I sold the car, maybe I'd make a few $100s more, but it would cost like $1,000 to fix up in time and money. So essentially I just lost money even though I made a profit on the car. Here's the rule you need to follow. So you need to only fix things that cost less than the value they add, accounting for time too. Like restoring faded headlights takes about 30 minutes and costs maybe $10 in materials, but it makes the car look years newer and can add like $200 or $300 in what they think the car's worth. That's a great return to me. Replacing a bumper that has a crack in it might cost like $1,000, and if the car's only worth $3,000, it's only gonna really add maybe $500 of value, and then you just wasted all this time. So it's better to just sell it how it is and let the buyer deal with the bumper. The things that give you the best returns are almost always cosmetic, like detailing, polishing, headlight restoration, replacing worn floor mats. They're just cheap, easy, and make the car look a lot better. The things that give the worst returns are usually mechanical, like replacing parts that still work or doing major repairs, or anything with paint or bodywork. I just focus on making the car look good and drive good. That's it. Stop trying to make it perfect. Of course, if you know how to fix an engine light, it definitely can increase its value. It just matters how long it's gonna take. The fourth reason you're not making a profit is you're paying too much for cars because you don't know how to negotiate. It's definitely natural to feel uncomfortable negotiating. People will see a car listed for $4,000. They're like, hey, I'll offer $3,500. And then the seller says no, and they end up paying like $3,800. They think they tried, they think they got some money off, but they really didn't. Negotiation isn't just throwing out a number and hoping they accept. It's about making the seller understand why their car isn't worth what they think it is. You show up, look at the car, and your job is to point out every single problem you find. Point out the scratches, the worn tires, talk about how much it's gonna cost to fix that check engine light. Ask about maintenance records and act disappointed when they don't have any. You're not being rude, you're being realistic. And you're planting a seed in their mind that the car isn't really as nice as they thought it was. Then when it's time to offer a lower price, you have reasons why. You're not just saying, I'll give you $3,000. You're saying, look, the tires need replacing, there's an engine light, I'm gonna have to put a whole bunch of money into this thing before I can even drive it. I really was hoping to pay like $3,000. Now they're not just hearing a low number, they're hearing logic, and logic is harder to argue with. I had bought in a Sprinter van for thousands of dollars under what all the other ones were going for using the exact method. The seller needed it gone, and I showed up and pointed out everything wrong with it. There was a lot. And by the time we talked price, he already knew he wasn't getting what he wanted. I walked away with that van, and after fixing it up and doing all the work, I ended up with a $21,000 profit. If you can consistently negotiate $1,000 off every car you buy each week, that's an extra $4,000 a month or $48,000 a year just from willing to ask. It's a little uncomfortable, but it takes 5 minutes to save thousands. And don't be afraid to walk away and buy another car if they won't take your offer. The fifth reason you're not making profit is your listings suck and you don't even realize it. Many people take photos of their car in a bad neighborhood or a parking lot with bad lighting. They write a 2-sentence description and then they barely get any messages. And when someone does message them, they hardly even answer them. Your listing is the impression buyers get of your car. If it looks sketchy, they're gonna assume the car's sketchy too. It's honestly crazy to me how many people do this. A lot of the time I ask people I work with to send me their listing and it's pretty bad. Once they change it and make it actually good, they end up getting a lot more messages. It's the same car, but it's different presentation which gives you completely different results. Here's what a good listing needs. Clean, bright photos taken in a nice area, not somewhere like a gas station. Find a quiet street in a decent neighborhood and take your photos there. Get every angle around the car, show the interior, the engine bay, the trunk, the wheels. It usually ends up being around 15 photos. Now for the description, the goal is to answer all questions someone might have while keeping it short. Say what's good about it, and yes, if it has problems, tell them the problems. If you hide issues, buyers are gonna show up to see the car and it's gonna be worse than they thought. Then they're gonna not really want the car and they're gonna give you a low offer or just walk away. But if you're upfront about a scratch or a ding or whatever, they show up already expecting it and it's not that big of a deal. And never mention that you're flexible on price. The second someone sees that, they know you're desperate and they're gonna offer you a low price. Your listing should make your car look better than every other car. That way, people will want your car and be more likely to pay full price. The sixth reason you're not making a profit is you're treating this like a hobby and not a business. You flip a car whenever you feel like it, you don't track your numbers, and you have no idea what your actual profit is after accounting for all your costs and time you put into it. I worked with a guy named Leon who was technically flipping cars, but he was only putting in like 5 hours a week total. He'd take a month to finish a flip that could have taken a week. When I asked why, it seemed like all excuses. He was busy, he didn't feel like working on it, he'd get to it later. But the thing is, he was making more money flipping cars than at his actual job, and he still wasn't taking it seriously. The moment he started treating it like a real business, tracking his time, he held himself accountable, he showed up every day to work on cars, his income doubled. Not because he got better at flipping, but because he started actually doing it consistently. If you want to make real money, you need to track everything. How much you paid for each car, how much you spent on repairs, how many hours you worked, what you sold it for. And then you take all those numbers and you calculate your profit and hourly rate. And if you're making less than $100 an hour, something's wrong. It likely comes down to paying too much for the car or taking too long to flip it. The good thing is that if you keep track of all your numbers, you can look over them and see exactly where the problem is. But you'll also need to be consistent. To do this, it's good to set a realistic goal and hold yourself to it. One car a week is very doable for someone just starting out. And that can be over $100,000 a year if you're averaging $2,000 profit per flip. But you have to show up and do the work every week, not just when you're motivated. One thing that sets other businesses apart is tracking statistics. People who know the numbers, what they make, what they spent, they're able to make a lot more money. That's because when you know them, you can improve them instead of just guessing what's gonna work on your next car flip. So after I flip a car, I'll always look over and find ways how to make more money or take less time flipping the car. So if you want an insanely easy way to track all your car flips, I put a free tracker that I made specifically for car flippers in the description. It'll help you keep all the numbers in one place, do the calculations to find your hourly rate and profit for you, and much more. But the seventh reason you're not making a profit is you quit right before it starts to click. Almost everyone's making several mistakes on their first few flips. You might pay too much, you spend too long fixing it, you price it wrong, and then you think, this doesn't work, and you stop. But here's what you don't realize. Those first few flips are supposed to be rough. They're not about making money, they're about learning. Every mistake teaches you something. Overpaid for a car? Now you know what a real deal looks like. Spent too much on repairs? Now you know what fixes are worth it and what aren't. Car sat for weeks without selling? Now you know how to price it right. The people who succeed at flipping cars are the ones who push through the learning curve. Somewhere around flip 5, everything starts to click. They can spot deals instantly, they know exactly which repairs to do and which to skip. Their cars sell in days instead of weeks. That's where the real money starts coming in. But most people quit at flip 1 or 2 because they only made a couple $1,000s. Don't be that person. Just commit to flipping a certain amount of cars before you decide if this is for you or not. By then, you'll have learned more than most flippers ever do. And we've talked about the 7 reasons most new flippers fail and how to avoid them. But there's one question I guess asked more than anything else. Is flipping cars even legal? And if you don't know the answer, you could end up with some serious problems. So check out this video where I show you how to legally flip cars along with some workarounds that let you flip as many cars as you want. And as always, I'm wishing you a lucky day.